Awesome. All right. So you all would have seen the videos and everything that Amanda has sent through. I just wanted to start by thanking you, Amanda, for sharing those tips and tricks with us this morning. I personally love the whole honeymoon analogy. It rings so true, you know, that when you're first falling in love with someone, how amazing it is. And it was a real light bulb moment for me, actually, you know, it makes sense that, you know, if you start to really love yourself, that things are going to happen for you. So thank you very much for that. And the wristband thing, I'm going to try that one, I think, because, you know, for myself, I find myself reacting to some situations and then afterwards going, oh, you know, I could have handled that so much better. Just to have that little something there to trigger you, and yeah, it's a really good idea. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure.
And a few of the people that have tuned in today have said similar things. So, and we'll get to those questions a little bit later on. Now, just so everyone's up to speed with how you and I have come to meet. So I was listening to a podcast a couple of months ago and Amanda was telling her story. And I remember thinking at the time, so I had just started doing this sort of stuff and I thought, oh, no way she'll want to come on my little old account. But I reached out to Amanda and she's agreed. So I know how busy you are, and it means a lot to me that you've jumped on. Now, I've heard your story, but my followers haven't. Well, they've had a little bit of a taste of it. But would you mind sharing a little bit more about your journey so far, please?
Yeah, definitely. So, no, it's great to be here with you today. I love what you're doing with that gut feeling. Well done. It's an honor to be here today with you. And my name's Amanda. I'm a kinesiologist and I'm a motivational speaker. And I'm a twin sister as well. I saw she's just jumped on as well. Hi, Nicole. Because when I talk about the pineapple effect, which I spoke about in the video today, it was very much in relation to a word Nicole and I created. So I guess I do have a bit of a story. When I was 24 years old, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And 5 years later, when I was 29 years old, I was paralyzed from a really big relapse that happened that, you know, the whole left-hand side of my body became paralyzed. I lived in hospital for quite some time and I was living in rehabilitation, faced with never walking again. I took a very balanced approach, an east meets west approach. And I had wonderful doctors and neurologists and speech pathologists and neurophysiotherapists, but also a kinesiologist that was a family friend that came and worked on me while I was living in rehab. And long story short, I did recover and I did walk again when they thought I wouldn't. And so when I was finally mobile again, I came home and I was so rapt to be walking again, but I still had to lie down half of the day. I still had multiple MS symptoms. Emotionally, I'd lost myself. I had grown and evolved so much going through that experience. So much about myself had changed. Different things mattered to me now. So this led me to research all about rapid recovery. And I promised myself if I walked again, it was like a second chance of life. And I wanted to dedicate my entire life to finding other stories out there of people that had recovered and how they did it. And then therefore how I was going to continue my recovery. Because it was one thing walking again, but I had balance issues. I had cognitive changes. I had the paralysis, and I had bladder issues as well. And so this prompted me to research, and I first came across nutrition, and I found a whole bunch of doctors out there that had done their own research because of their stories of recovery. And I really sort of saturated myself with research on what foods to increase to maximize repair. And then, of course, came mindset. And because I've always been naturally inclined and drawn to energy medicine, I chose to study sports kinesiology. I found a course that was actually sports kinesiology, which is a fusion of sports science and kinesiology. And that taught me about the power of the mind and the mind-body connection, and of course the studies of anatomy and physiology and Chinese medicine. And that really gave me a grasp as to how our emotions and how we think and feel and how our thoughts are truly connected to our biochemistry, stress levels, and health. And then as a sports kinesiologist, I also learned how exercise and movement can help us achieve optimal health and reduce stress. And so yeah, in 2013, I opened up Bend Like Bamboo, and that's my private practice, and it's also my program. I not only help people one-on-one, but I developed a resilience program, because the metaphor of Bend Like Bamboo is to master resilience, with flexibility. Because as you know, when a tree or a bamboo bends in direct proportion to the wind, it doesn't snap. So it reduces suffering when we can be more flexible in our minds and bodies. And so I have a real passion helping people to build resilience within themselves. And I come from a practitioner perspective as well as from the patient, and that's why most people come and see me.
Yeah, of course. And it's such an incredible story that you have. And, you know, I think that drives my passion for doing what I'm doing as well, because I have heard so many stories like yours, you know, where people have, you know, all help is lost sort of thing, and come from, you know, the pits basically, and brought themselves back to health through nutrition and through mindset. And it's just absolutely breathtaking, the changes that can be made. And so that drives me as well to have people like yourself come on and share your stories. And I'm really keen on sharing all different kind of modalities, because, you know, everyone has a story. So and you touched on the flexibility and resilience this morning, and if anyone knows about resilience, it's you. So would you mind sharing with us what resilience means to you?
Yeah, and absolutely, we should say at the start here, I guess, it's really important to any advice that we're giving today is, you know, definitely take it in conjunction with what you're doing already. Definitely discuss this with your health practitioner that you're working with. I take a very balanced approach. I think it's really important, but this is all general advice. Yeah, this is how it wasn't just mindset. It wasn't just nutrition. I have a team of doctors, and they support, like, you have to create your own team, and they support my balanced approach. And I think that's really important to make sure that you take this with a grain of salt and integrate into your program and do what's right for you. So
100%.
resilience
Yeah.
is, yeah, the resilience is the ability to dig down deep when the odds are stacked against you, when you have no choice but to succeed, in those moments where you feel like you want to give up. It's the ability to face adversity head on, and to find, you know, we usually in our younger years, we seek for guidance externally and connection. But I think in times of adversity, it's when we tend to go within. And when we are forced to go within, you know, there's a very special gift that we find of, you know, what we're truly capable of. Resilience is the ability to manage stress, and it's the ability to optimize our health and happiness as a result of managing our stress better. And it's the ability to rebuild our lives, which I think is really relevant for what we're all going through right now with, you know, lockdown, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually have a formula for resilience. So would you like me to share that with you?
I'd love to hear it. Yes.
Awesome. So I created a formula for resilience, and it's anchor minus letting go plus flexibility equals resilience. And so an anchor, it's very important for us to find our own inner anchor. And if you think of an analogy of a tree, it is anchored. And because it's anchored, this allows it to be flexible in direct proportion to the wind. So when you found your own anchor within yourself, you know who you are, you know what you stand for, you know what you believe in. And I think that we really need to understand that for ourselves, because this not only will dictate how stressed out we will get when we're faced with change or adversity, but when we have that inner anchor within us, we also know what situations are right for us, what situations we need to walk away from, and what, you know, what situations we need to gravitate towards. It's really identifying with who you are. And so minus letting go. So I think it's really important to master the art of letting go. I actually have a really good book for this. Let me show you. I'm reading this at the moment. It's called Letting Go by David Hawkins. I highly recommend it. As you can see, I've seriously tabbed it. It's a really good book. So he has a really good take. He's a doctor and he goes through all the different aspects of letting go. But letting go is really important, and it's because every day we will wash our bodies. So how do you wash your minds of yesterday's thoughts, old redundant ideas? I was on a podcast this morning with Jamin Fraser, and we were talking about how it's really important to you might have good days and you might have bad days. And let's say yesterday I had a crap day, and let's pretend I was really in my head and I was overthinking things. So then how do I reset today so that I don't just go back into that habit of what I was doing yesterday? And when we're stressed, we go towards surety, and our brain will even choose pain pathways and memories and habits that are at least familiar. So Bend Like Bamboo is all about, and resilience is all about getting out of your comfort zone. So we must master change and letting go to do that well. So it's the ability to question old stories that we create when we're younger, and we learn who we are and what we believe in from our environment around us, our mum and dad, just growing up and past experiences. And I think we get to a point in our lives where we kind of move from the tribal connection to this individualization, where it's like, oh, I don't actually agree with that, or that's your stuff, it's not my stuff, and you learn who you are. So you've got to have your own inner anchor, and you've got to be really, really good at letting go, right? And then we can master flexibility. And so when we master flexibility in our mindset impacts everything that matters. Our body's ability to repair, how happy and resilient we are, and how connected we feel. And when we're flexible in our minds, we can change our perspective. We can look at things with fresh eyes. We can see things from a higher perspective. And when you see things from on top of the mountain, you can see further. You can see all the reasons why things are going on in your life and what's happening. But when we are not expanding and working on ourselves, we can see from the ground floor only. And we're very reactive. You can only see what's in front of you, and it's not the full perspective. And often we go into, when we're in fear or we're going through pain, we're very good at blaming other people for our problems. But when you can really kind of sit back and have that bird's eye perspective, you're able to take more responsibility as to how you got yourself to where you are now, and all the roles that, all the roles that have played to get you there. And it's from this heart
Is it
space
just
that
a matter of, sorry, I was just going to say,
no,
is it just a matter of exercising these tools that you implement and rewiring the brain? Is that how it all works? Like getting out of those old habits?
Yeah, it's definitely about rewiring the brain. And that's almost like the end result is, in the end, but I think the first step is like that awareness, catching yourself in those moments. Like, and as we spoke about today, using the wristband, the pineapple effect, or the word pineapple, it's about, that is also another tool that allows you to just to bring in awareness of your behaviors and your reactions, because everything is like what you believe is what matters. You'll have a goal in your life, but have you noticed how just wanting something is not enough to make it happen? That's because what we believe is what matters, and we want our goals to align with what we believe about ourselves and what we believe can be possible. But for so many of us, there's a misalignment there, and I call that the inner conflict. So bringing that into your awareness, what you believe, is the first step. And then we can take responsibility, and with awareness comes choice, and then we can reset and rewire the brain when we know what we're dealing with.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And you finished with the resilience?
Yep.
Right,
Yeah,
to
so
move
that's
on.
my
Okay,
formula.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, cool. It's a great
Yeah,
one.
so hopefully that's helpful.
Definitely is, yes. Now, that was the change that you were just talking about. That was one of the things that you brought up this morning as well in your little tips thing. One of my followers has raised a great question. Now, this person has a lot of stress going on in their life, and they have done for quite some time now, and they're in quite a dark place. She knows that she needs to move forward and is well aware of personal growth, and she tries to practice keeping a positive mindset. So she meditates, she practices deep breathing, she listens to uplifting podcasts and YouTube videos. A lot of the underlying issues for this person do come down to change, major changes, life-changing, life-altering changes, I should say. What is your advice to people like this and that are going through that kind of change or are having to rebuild their life?
I think definitely, you know, how you set yourself up from the start of the day, a morning ritual is really helpful to find, because when we're unsure or we're going through change, we do seek that surety. So simply by journaling and meditating at the start of the day and being mindful of what's coming in as information. So what are you watching? Do you put the news on straight away? Or do you maybe read something inspiring? Or do you watch inspiring YouTube video instead of the news straight away? You know, are you journaling in the morning? Are you meditating in the morning? Are you moving in the morning? Are you drinking water? Are you eating well? So what's your morning routine to anchor you so you can be more open, to be flexible, to get yourself out of your comfort zone? It sounds like this person that's written this question in is doing all the right things. And I think that when you are doing all the things, then it's time to surrender. And I think it's when you're doing all the things, I think sometimes it's a balance of doing that and being accountable and being responsible in that way. But then there's a time to fully just surrender to it all and let go and not be attached to the outcome of how that's all going to unfold. Now, that's not an easy thing to master, but that's definitely
that was going to be my next question. How does one let go?
Well, first of all, start by reading that book. I'm really, really enjoying it. Another really good book is Mindset by Carol Dweck is another really good resource. I think just having the intention for it. So in my journal, the way I journal is I journal by answering questions. So I have these morning and evening questions in the journal that I use, which is an ebook on my website. And the first question is, what is my intention today? And if I bring that into my awareness of, well, today I'm working on surrendering. And if I think about that from the start of the day, simply by writing a sentence about it, my brain is now set up to focus on more of that in my day and to notice more opportunities in my environment to make that true. Because whatever we're focused on, our reticular activation system's job is to bring more resources in to help us, you know, make that happen for ourselves. If you've got a car on your mind, you want to buy a new car and that model's on your mind, you know, and you're out driving and you just see that car everywhere, your brain's doing its job. It's designed to bring in whatever you're focused on, and that works for the negative as well. So I think, yeah, to answer that person's question, good on you. You're doing all the right things, and it's good to be doing all the things. But then there's a balance of also just having it in your awareness, have the intention in the morning to also surrender and let go to how that's all going to unfold, so you can be open to miracles.
Some great advice. Thank you. Now, the last thing that I wanted to ask you about, you've touched on it briefly, but would you mind explaining for everyone else that's listening about flexibility and the association there with bend like bamboo?
Yes. So to bend like bamboo is to bend with flexibility in times of change. And, you know, the meaning of bend like bamboo has transformed all through the years. And first of all, it was a metaphor, a Chinese medicine metaphor of bending in direct proportion to the wind. And when we're more flexible, we can reduce suffering, right? When we're rigid, we really create so much more suffering for ourselves. To bend like bamboo is the ability to see our situation with fresh eyes. And, you know, you can go through a situation and hold on to it, and it might be causing you a lot of pain and mental anguish. And then in the blink of an eye, you can feel so differently about that situation. Simply, and when you can see the situation with fresh eyes, there's a transformation that happens within you. And we're so connected to, you know, everyone around us, and everything's connected. We're all connected to each other, as, you know, we're sort of realizing during this time as well. And so when that shifts within you, the other people that's involved in that situation are going to feel that energetic shift. So Bend Like Bamboo is about connection. It's about flexibility. And as I said before, in our mindset impacts everything that matters. Our body's ability to repair, how happy and resilient we are, and how connected we feel. Because we're either in one or two pathways. Our body predominantly fires growth and repair, or survival and stress. And, you know, back in the day, we would go into fight or flight when we had to run from a tiger or something like that. But nowadays, with our modern day problems, we can go into fight or flight when we're stressed about finances, whether we need to get a promotion at work or interpersonal relationships, love, all that kind of stuff. And so
it's everywhere.
It's really important. Yeah. And that's why, you know, in the morning, I make sure if I am going to have coffee, I won't have more than one a day. Because it fires out, it sends an adrenaline signal out into my body, which is mimicking that fight or flight response. So if I know I'm particularly stressed, I'll eliminate coffee completely out of my diet, because I know I need to balance my autonomic nervous system. And so that's just another tip there. We were going to maybe go into a bit of nutrition before.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about the other pillars of health that you spoke about this morning, about connection and nutrition and all of that, if you wouldn't mind talking about those.
Yeah, absolutely. So nutrition, because we kind of moved into it just then with coffee. So nutrition played an enormous role in my recovery. And I believe that every meal is an opportunity to reset and renew. And, you know, we need our recommended daily intake of vitamins and minerals just to make everyday things happen, like just to be able to walk and daily activities and cofactors that our hormones and, you know, how our body, the systems of our body needs just to make our body work, right? But when we're going through illness or stress in our lives, or we're going through hardship or adversity, you really want to ramp up your nutrients. And that's what I've learned. And I did some research when I was studying, but also when I started to look into nutrition. I came across stories from Dr. Walls, Professor Jelinek, Dr. Swank, McDougall, Chutkan. These are all doctors that are really passionate about nutrition, repair, and gut health. And for me personally, when I started to nourish my body on a cellular level with nutrient-dense foods, it was a game changer. I no longer had to lie down half of the day alone, life-changing. And that's what I was like when I first came home from hospital. You know, I was mobile, but I had a lot of symptoms to deal with, and I still wasn't feeling well. And so nutrition was a game changer, and it really changed my body, and then it changed my mindset, and then I was able to process my emotions easier. I was able to deal with stress faster, and I was more resilient. So my tips are with nutrition is focus on what to increase rather than just what to eliminate. It makes it more fun, but the common denominators across the board of my research were, you know, focus on where your food comes from really matters. So, you know, go fresh, go organic where you can, go free range, ethically sourced. You want to really increase green leafy vegetables, deeply coloured fruits and vegetables, sulfur and iodine rich foods help to detox the cells. You know, fiber, good fats, and of course hydration. Our body is made up of so much water. Our organs, our tissues, our muscles, and, you know, our hormones all need water. So
I actually had a lady come on not last takeover before, and she did a demonstration, and one of the experiments that she did was some sweet potato in there was bottled water, tap water, filtered water, and there was one other one. And anyways, yeah, it was incredible just to see the difference between what was growing and what wasn't. It was, very interesting. So water definitely is a huge one. Hey.
Yeah, and I just try and make it fun. So I'll sometimes put lemon in, sometimes rosemary, sometimes thyme. Just make it fun. And of course, variety is key. That's how you're going to make sure you're getting all the different nutrients that we need. And reduce inflammatory foods. Now, this is different for everybody. It's a process of elimination, but it can include nightshades. It can include legumes, beans, peas, grains. It can include wheat, gluten or dairy. processed foods, sugar, soft drinks, white foods, corn products, all rich in fructose, which can be detrimental to our health. Omega-6 sources such as vegetable oils, eating too much alcohol, trans fats, you want to avoid those as well. Limit your coffee and alcohol intake, of course, to balance the nervous system. And here's a tip for you. This is what I love doing because I'm not a great cook. Ask anyone that's lived with me, anyone. Hence why I created a ready-made meal business a couple of years ago, which was awesome. But anyway, I do love cooking though, but I
That's
need
extreme.
because I'm not a great chef. So, you know, when I'm not cutting corners and going for a ready-made meal, and there's really great ready-made meals out there, but if you can do this, get a folder, and if you can master 5 salads, 5 sides, 5 sauces, and 5 proteins, so 5 salads, sides, sauces, proteins, you now have 625 recipes at your disposal because you can mix and match. Matt Kennedy, our chef at Nourish, taught me that. And that's how we used to create our menus. We had a ready-made meal business. And then so you just come home and you're like, yep, I'm going to do that with that, with that, with that. And you can create so many different recipes that way. So that's my tip on nutrition. The other pillar of health was movement. So movement's really important, obviously for obvious reasons like strength and endurance. But the way that I was trained to exercise as a kinesiologist is you can actually process your emotions while you're getting your workout in all at the same time. And that is because our muscles are connected to our organs via the central nervous system. And in Chinese medicine, we connect different emotional states to different muscle groups and therefore organs. So for example, if we're holding on to fear or anger, particularly, and grief, predominantly this gives us a sore lower back. So if you are stretching those muscles, or if you're working on like squats and lunges, for example, and that's very focused on the hip area, you're also going to be inviting in feeling more supported in your life, or you might be letting go the idea that you're not feeling supported in your life. When we go into our heads and we overthink, it's predominantly the neck muscles and the shoulders. So if you've got a lingering sore neck and you just can't seem to get rid of it, then you got to ask yourself in those moments, am I in my head? Am I going over and over a scenario? And how can you drop out of your head and into your heart? And that's where you want to wash your mind with your wristband trick and with your meditation and journaling morning and night. And our chi is really important. So, for example, our kidney chi is related to our willpower to care about, you know, looking after ourselves, to that motivation we need to make these changes. And then connection is the other core pillar that I speak about. And, you know, I think connection is really important. So our inner connection with ourselves, the relationship we have within ourselves, our ability to tap into our inner guidance, which I love doing in meditation, by the way, is where you can really create that solid trust within yourself, where you know what's right for you, you know what the next step is. And only when you're really connected within yourself can you have real connected relationships around you, and you find that naturally you'll connect more to the people around you when you're connected with yourself. And again, I like doing that with journaling and meditating. And that's another way when you're truly connected, is you can see things from that elevated perspective on top of the mountain where you can see, you know, further out. And we need connection for survival. You know,
100%.
we need it.
Yeah, my husband is I'll drive in, drive out. You know, he's away 7 days at a time, and the minute that he drives down that driveway, I'm a different person. Like, I'm so conscious of it, and yeah, it's just, you know, that loneliness that, you know, I've got my 2 boys here, but you just crave that human connection, don't you?
Yeah, and everyone's different. Some people need it more than others. I'm like you, like I'm a twin, so I'm so used to sharing the womb with someone, let alone and I love people and I love connection, and you know, but some people are more introverts and they need it less. But I think everybody needs connection, like of some sort. We all need connection, and what that means will be different. And just knowing what that is for you is really important. And when you're connected and anchored within yourself, you learn what is right for you, and you seek it. Because, you know, when we're younger, we don't really know what we want, and we don't really know how to ask for what we want. And that requires self-worth. Self-esteem is a whole nother Instagram life.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Oh, it's been amazing talking to you, Amanda. Is there anything else that you
Thanks,
wanted to
Tony.
share with our listeners? Anything about your Bend Like Bamboo program?
No, thank you
How,
so much
how do
for having
people jump
me.
on that?
Well, the best, if you want to check out my work, just jump on Amanda Campbell, campbell.com.au. So you'll find my resilience work there. I'm a motivational speaker. You'll also find Bend Like Bamboo, my private practice, Kinesiology. And I would love to offer everybody 50% off my 6 ebook series. It's the Optimal Health series. It's all about the mind, body, spirit connection. So 50% off all those ebooks. It's in a bundle. You'll see it's called Optimal Health in my shop. And if you just use the coupon code That Gut Feeling, you'll get 50% off that program. That'll give everybody something to read and something to do during this time, a Kickstarter to be more resilient. I also have a podcast that's launching in a few weeks called Connect with Damien and Amanda. But if you sign up to my newsletters, you'll get all the information of all the stuff I'm doing.
That is incredible. Thank you so much. I'm going to jump on that. That's
That's all
for
right.
sure.
That's all right.
Appreciate
No,
that.
thanks for having me today. And good on you for all the work you're doing. And I think
Thank
it's
you.
really inspiring.
Oh, and I feel the same about you. And I could talk to you all night if I'm brutally honest. But yeah, we're talking for a bit over
Me
half an
too.
hour now. So we'll let all these good people get to bed or do what they have to
Thanks for
do. So
listening,
thanks again.
everyone. Thanks for jumping on. And we'll do it again.
Thanks,
We'll talk
everybody.
about other juicy stuff.
Sounds great. All right. Thanks, Amanda.